So that type of transparency and that type of accountability has been non-existent in governments.
But that requires depoliticizing an economic development strategy, would you not say? Depoliticizing the economic development strategy of a country.
Yes, but again,
that's a big deal.
That's a big deal at Jamaica, and the opportunity I see here is Jamaica, because it was so disgusted that it's what has happened, it had done, how it had impaled itself. We were ready for change. So therefore, then we become most creative and rational. And hence, the Economic Growth Council had an opportunity. It was started on fertile ground.
Excellent. Thank you.
I know you have to get to the airport,
Yes.
so I don't want to...
I'm here. The plane isn't going to leave me.
There we go.
So I would like to know from this really amazing global web experience achievement you shared with us, anything about the relevant gender component. As you know, in our countries, how women and girls, are facing, so many obstacles to really, towards really full participation. So I would like, for you to share any experience that you have had, promoting gender.
Well, the question is, what experience have I had in promoting gender participation, equality in every way? Actually, our executive roster would be comprised of, you look at the universities, the demographics of the gender composition of the universities is predominantly women. Right? So the pool of labor pool, qualified labor pool, is from a predominantly female gender pool. And there's a problem with Caribbean countries and Central, I can speak more specific for Caribbean countries. There's a problem with that we have young men who are being left behind. So it's now the opposite. So we have to deal with that. So on our board, as an example, we have more than not only in numbers but also in being vocal representation.
Can it take one more question?
I have a question. I'm from Barbados, and what are your views, honest views on the issue of regional integration and whether it can help us to overcome, as many of the speakers say, the issue of economies of scale? What are your honest views on, or what would you tell leaders of the region, if you can go before them right now, what would you tell them about the regional integration project?
First, I would say, get your own house in order, right? You can't depend on your neighbor to bolster you. So it's like, what is your aspiration for your kids? To be strong and independent, right, of you, right? That's our responsibility. So my first suggestion would be, country X, make sure you are optimizing your assets, right? But you may not know what assets you have. So let's talk about what assets you have. And let us look at assets that may be incarcerated, right? By virtue of your own legislation. As I said, pension. So let's talk about your pension legislation and how it is incarcerating. Let's talk about your insurance companies. What's the latitude your insurance companies have to invest? Let's talk about your capital requirements. And I'll give you an example. In Jamaica, we do for an insurance company, property and casualty, the capital requirement is 250%. It's called a minimum capital test, MCT, right? And it's 250%, meaning the required capital divided by available capital must be 2.5 times, right? 250%. And required capital is defined by the FSC, Financial Services Commission. So by contrast, In America, MCT is 100%. In other words, the available capital is equal to the required capital, right? It's 100%. In Canada, it's 150%. In Jamaica, it's 250%. So, in the interview with the FSC, the EGC's interview with the FSC, one of the 180, I asked the FSC, tell me, which jurisdiction did you take your framework, your security, your framework from? They said, Canada. I said, oh, really? MCT, in Canada is 100%, in the States it's 250%, 100%. In Canada, 150, in Jamaica it's 250%. Why? Why is there a difference? If your regulatory framework is an extraction of the Canadian system, why is yours 100% more than the Canadians? Why? Nobody could give an answer. Right? Just no answer. So, there are a lot of inefficiencies that can be extracted if the mechanism is there and the access is there and the will is there to do better. Pension reform, no different. In terms of how pension funds can allocate their capital. I'm sure it's the same in Barbados. Most pension funds can only invest in government bonds, right? I'm sure it's the same in Barbados, which is the case in Jamaica. But in Canada, as an example, a pension fund can invest 100% of its assets outside of Canada, 100% of its assets in real estate. Canada, the Canadian pension fund is governed by the prudent man concept. So there's no prescription. You're a professional, you're a steward of the pension fund, we expect professional behavior from you, which is defined by the prudent man concept. So, before we talk about regional integration, let's make sure that each one of us are doing the best we possibly can at getting our own house in order. Because nobody wants to be supporting the other person, right? It's going to be...
No comment.